Good day and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live weekly chat. Welcome. It's been another amazing royal week, a voluptuous royal week as always. There's been so many royal engagements and events going on. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. As always, I have pre-opened the chat window, so I will go and have a look at that now. And also in the UK, I'd just like to say it's been really cold, and we've had snow and ice and lots of bad weather. I almost feel like some kind of Arctic sheep. I believe the people of Britain are just like a load of Arctic sheeps going around and being really cold and putting on our big woolly winter coats just like an Arctic sheep. Are you an Arctic sheep? Have you seen an Arctic sheep? Please Google Arctic sheeps because they are very cute. I had the good fortune of seeing a photo of one the other day, and I do find them most cute. So do Google Arctic sheep. They are amazing. And the people of Britain feel like one today, or ones today. So I'm just going to go and do all of the hellos and see who is in the chat room. Ingrid and Christine are here, and Bay. Who were having a lovely conversation before we got here. Odear is here, and Betsy. Van Argil Candice is here too, and says, I hope all is well in your part of the world. Well, apart from it being cold and us all feeling like Arctic rams, Arctic sheep, yes, it's fine. Deborah Fraser is here, who says, greetings, Elliot and everyone from Trinidad and Tobago. Carnival is in the air in my country. Lots of celebrations down here. Well, wow. My greetings and my good wishes go out to everyone in Trinidad and Tobago. And I hope you all have a wonderful festival type season. David Penner is here too, and James Med 4. Bay says, I love the butterfly brooch. For those of you who don't know, I have worn it before previously. It is my nan's brooch. And we had the discussion when I first wore it about whether it was mink or not. One of the viewers said, is it mink? And I said, I don't know. I really have no idea. But I'll give you a closer look, and maybe someone who might know their stuff may know if it is mink, because I really don't know. But if it is mink, it's very old. Oh dear says, love your grandmother's mink butterfly. I have no idea if it is mink. Lee Hayden says, love the butterfly. Thank you so much. Diamond Nay says, hello, Elliot. And oh, yes, cold, snow and freezing rain coming here. Not fun. Bay says, lots of laughter. You love the snow. I do. I think I must have been an Arctic sheep in a previous life because I do love the snow. I love any type of winter thing. I like winter jumpers. I look really good in winter wear. So yes, I do love the cold. And of course, we have the Winter Olympics going on at the moment, which of course Princess Anne has attended. So we can talk about that a little bit later too, if you want. Oh dear says, we have had sun and a hint of the daffodils already. Well, my spring bulbs are coming up too. And you're in the west coast of Canada. So yes, I think we are getting your winter. His Majesty the King is here. Not Elvis and not a king. It's Jamie, our resident moderator, who has changed his name yet again. So welcome to Jamie. And I would like to go through some of the moderator rules. Jamie is very strict, and he's a really good enforcer. So basically, the only rule of this live chat, for those of you who don't know, is to just be kind. Be kind to everyone in the chat room. Of course, I love lively debates. I really do. And I endorse freedom of speech. So if you have something to say that is of a negative tone, say it once and then move on. If you persist or start upsetting other members, Jamie will take action. So there you go. Those are the rules. Vinny Blair says, hi everyone, smart layering, Elliot. Thank you. I'm in yellow today, and I'm not sure whether yellow is my colour. Do let me know. Deborah Fraser says, Kiddies Carnival was today, Saturday, where the kids took to the streets of the capital in full costumes. Wow. I'm going to have to look that up on Google. Candice says it's been very cold on Vancouver Island as well. I prefer that over blistering heat. Me too. I am totally with you there. Ingrid says, hi, Elliot. How was your week? Very, very busy. A little bit of personal information today. Today, I moved my nan, who has been in her previous home for over 40 years. But it has 2 flights of steps, and it's not good having all those steps. So we've moved her into a bungalow. So it's been moving day to day. So I'm a little bit tired. So if I appear a little bit tired, you know why. I've been moving house all day. And it was a big job, but it was really worth it because I think it was a really good move for my nan. And I think she'll be very happy in her new home. The first Mrs. R says hello, so hello to you. And Lady Buckingham Dawn is here. And Francesca B and Donna Pape. Okay. Ingrid says, love the butterfly. It looks pink, so probably not mink. Isn't mink brown? Well, it's not pink. It is kind of a little, it's kind of like a greyish brown, but I don't know whether the colour fades or not over time. I don't know. The first Mrs. R says, are Arctic sheep anything like pregnant beavers? Just asking. Well, you know I'm partial to a pregnant beaver. But no, I don't think Arctic sheep are. But they are very cute, like pregnant beavers. Lee Hayden says, silkworm cocoon. That sounds really good too. I like it. Jamie says, maybe Arctic sheep attack the press too. Maybe they do, like the pregnant beavers attacking the press. Stephen Jameson says, hi, Elliot, great work. Thank you so much. I really do hope that you have been enjoying my videos this week. Francesca B says, yellow is great. Thank you. But Candice says, that's a very beautiful fuzzy butterfly and so nice of you to honour your grandmother by wearing it. I do love it, and it's going to make regular appearances on this channel. The first Mrs. R says, I'm in the US Midwest and we're getting more snow this weekend, but spring is trying to break through. I think it's exactly the same in the UK. All of my bulbs are coming through too. Diamond Danae says, like your look. And I would like to thank Diamond Danae for commenting on my videos. She always comments. So thank you so much for commenting on my videos. Ingrid says, one thing I've been noticing on the royal channels is that Meghan isn't hanging on to Harry as much anymore, which is a good thing. Oh, you're sweet, Nan. Yes, to Meghan. She was at the Endeavour Fund Awards with Prince Harry this week, and she wore this amazing trouser suit. There was lots of, talk about and comparisons between Catherine and Meghan. But I think Meghan is really developing her own sense of style, and she definitely rocked the trouser suit. So good on Meghan for that, and she did look absolutely amazing. And yes, she is appearing more confident. She gave a speech, which was her first speech. I did make a video on that speech where there's a clip on it where she actually helped one of the presenters who couldn't quite get to grips with the paperwork on the table to do the announcing. She very sweetly and very kindly and professionally helped him out, which I thought was really lovely. And it just shows her own personality coming through in her royal engagements. Her speech was great. She was very confident. And yeah, she is appearing a little bit less clingy, which I said would happen. I said she would grow into the role. I said she'd be a very quick learner. And I think I was right on that. Oh dear says, you are a good man to help your gran. Sounds like a better place for her. It is definitely. She definitely needs it and deserves it. Diamond Danae says, much work to move. Nice for you to help your gran. And oh dear says, a lot of pregnant beavers here now. Should be a lot of little ones soon. Well, that's the problem with pregnant beavers. More beavers. James Medford says, who is your nan's favourite royal, and does she have any great royal stories? She did meet the Queen, I do believe, maybe not meet the Queen, but the Queen went to her place of work, I think in the 70s. So she was very close to, in proximity to the Queen at least. And I do have some literature which I could show you in a different video, but I don't think she has any particular royal stories. But to be honest, I haven't asked her favourite royal. Probably current royal would be the Queen, I would imagine. Candice says, how did your gran take to moving? When we had to move my mom into somewhere safer, she didn't take it well. Well, I think she knows that it's a really good, positive move for her. And I think once settled, she'll be incredibly happy. David Penner says, the First Mrs. R, what state are you in? Hopefully not a difficult state. I know what you mean. You mean state as in location. Oh dear says, please make a little video of your bulbs once they come into bloom. I will do. I have lots of daffodils for us on your other channel. Would love to see. I will. Ingrid says, Meghan wears trouser suits wonderfully. She does indeed. And I think it will be one of her trademark fashion statements. Most definitely. Okay, I'm just going to move down some of the comments. Okay, and for those of you who were interested in the Sweden and Norway tour for William and Catherine, I did find a clip of Catherine throwing a snowball at William. So do go and check out on my playlist or my video uploads. There is a really amazing clip of Catherine scrunching together a snowball and hurling it at Prince William. So do take a look at that. First Mrs. R says, daffodils are my favourite and are only around for a few weeks. Mine, well, in the UK, they tend to last a little bit longer. I mean, I've had daffodils for quite some time, actually. Ingrid says, can you post a picture of it on your channel sometime? I might do a video on the bit of literature that I've got. It's almost like a booklet, actually. Christine says, I liked Prince Charles in his camouflage this week. Yes, Prince Charles visited the Mercian Regiment, who, in his capacity as the Earl of Chester, and he had an amazing visit, and there's some good footage there too, so do go and check out that video. He looked very relaxed and very happy. I think he's definitely had a very good Christmas break, you can definitely tell. And the Queen was back to work this week too, and I included a clip of the Queen's first engagement since coming back to work, and that was in one of my daily royal update videos, so do go and check that out. Now, I wanted to ask you what you thought about my newish daily update videos. So with the daily update videos, the idea is you get a snapshot of what's been happening either on the day that I make the video or on the previous evening if something happened in the evening. So it's not an in-depth video into each engagement. It's a little bit of this is what they're up to, you know, one bit of information about the engagement or what they've been doing, and one photo just to illustrate it. So you get pretty much a snapshot of what the whole royal family has been up to in that day or previous evening. So I just wanted to know what you thought about those videos. Do you like them? Do you want me to do more of them? Do you know any ways that I could improve them? Let me know. I really do want to hear your comments. And I think I've missed a few comments now, so I need to go back up. Hang on. Okay, going down again. Angel says, hi Elliot, how's your week and how's everything going for you guys out here in England? Well, I answered that earlier, but yes, it's been fine, but really, really busy. Of course, if you miss any of these videos and questions, you can go back once it's been put on YouTube to watch on catch up. Ingrid says, I love the Swedish Princess Victoria. She'll be Queen of Sweden when her father dies. Yes, she looks very similar to Catherine too, but slightly older version, but she does look really, really good. Lee Hayden says, note the store or the small furniture. Great work. There you go. Thank you very much. Vinny Blair says, what do we all think Meghan Markle's look will be in Scotland? Skirt or trousers or dress? And let me go down. Okay. Just going back up to my questions because they've gone down. Okay. I've lost where I am. Hang on. There you go. I'll start that question again. What do we all think Meghan Markle's look will be in Scotland? Skirt, trousers, dress? I think she'll wear a high ponytail and skirt suit, calf length for the evening reception. Well, I think in Scotland, well, don't forget it's cold. We may get a hint of tartan, maybe in the form of a scarf. I'm thinking she'll definitely be wearing maybe a heavy coat, possibly with a tartan scarf, and underneath she could possibly wear trousers or a skirt. Now I know that kind of covers the whole broad spectrum, but I definitely think my prediction is we're definitely going to see some tartan and possibly in the form of a scarf. Other than that, we can only guess, I suppose. Betsy says, love my video on the Royal Collection. That was a new one I've only just put out, so do go and watch that. And of course, Prince Charles attended a preview about there's a new BBC 2 documentary about the Royal Collection showcasing works of art from Charles I. So Charles I's art pieces that he collected have been reunited for the first time. And there you can go and see them, and you can see them in this program as well. So in the video that I made about Prince Charles previewing it, there is kind of like a teaser trailer about this this new exhibition. So do go and watch it to get a really good feel for what the exhibition is all about. Ingrid says, hopefully in a tartan print. I definitely think tartan scarf. I'm feeling the vibes from a tartan scarf. Okay, now I just need... Okay, I'm just closing something on my computer if you're wondering what I'm doing, because something has popped up and it is blocking my screen. So I need to get rid of it because I can't see the questions. Okay, it's gone. I've got rid of it. I can now see my questions and move my mouse for where things are. Okay. Angel says, yes, do more videos, show more pictures of them, updates on them, especially Catherine Middleton and her baby bump. Okay, do you want to see more baby bump? We're proud here in my 2 states that she's having a 3rd baby. If you want to see more baby bumps, then that would be okay. Angel also says, no, I've read that question. Jamie says, amazing to think she, the Queen is in her 67th year of her reign. Amazing lady, she doesn't stop. Yes, it was the 66th accession to the throne, which of course Jamie is right, it's her 67th year into her reign, and she spent it quietly and privately at Sandringham, as she always does, and then the day after she returned to begin her year's worth of royal duties and her programme of engagements. So yes, of course it's a very sad day for the Queen. The Queen doesn't celebrate Accession Day. She just celebrates it, well, not celebrates it, she marks it privately. And I'd imagine she does a lot of contemplation around this time, because of course, you know, the fact that she came to the throne means that her father had to die. So a very contemplating time for the Queen, probably very solemn as well. Okay, Jamie says, this beaver we've been talking about, has been pregnant for quite some time. When is it having the babies? I think it will be perpetually pregnant. Okay. I'm just going to scroll up the comments again. I'm having real trouble with the comments screen tonight. It keeps jumping, so I keep losing where I am. So I've probably missed loads of questions. If I have lost loads of questions, please type it again. Lillian Rose says, nice yellow shirt. I'm looking forward to seeing Prince Harry and Meghan visits to Edinburgh. Yes. And of course, in my daily update videos, I've started posting when the upcoming engagements have been announced, so that you know, like I do, when something is going to happen. And they are indeed going to visit Edinburgh on their kind of whistle-stop tour of the UK before the wedding, which in itself is rather unusual because the royals don't normally do a pre-wedding tour. It's normally after marriage. So of course, you know, trailblazing in their own unique way. Again, they'll be visiting Edinburgh on this small UK tour, where they'll be visiting Edinburgh Castle, the Palace of Holyrood House, and probably some other things too thrown in there. Maybe meeting, you know, real people and real causes that are important to Scotland and the people of Scotland. And I think these visits are really, really good to introduce the UK to Meghan, and of course Meghan to the UK. So I definitely think they're important. I'm really looking forward to it, really, and I do think we're going to see some tartan. First Mrs. R says, yes, Meghan has really made the trouser ensemble a part of her style. She has indeed, and I do love it. I think she looks really good wearing trousers. Francesca B says, Ingrid, I really missed something, and you're positively surprised. I am too. Angel says, the Queen looks pretty awesome up there, coming back to work and doing her job. But she was supposed to, and so was the royal family, starting to get back to doing what they're supposed to be doing, working. Well, yes, I mean, of course, there is only a certain amount of the royal family, the core members that do work for that do royal engagements as a job, I suppose. But yes, you know, after the Christmas break, it is time to get back. The Queen is the last one to get back to work. She has an extended Christmas break at Sandringham. All the others pretty much start the first week of January, as we've seen from my channel. But the Queen, I think, at her wonderful age, deserves her extended break, and I think she's come back looking very refreshed and well rested, which is good. Christine says, yes, I like the Royal Roundup news. And David Penner says, does the Queen have any contingent plans in case that she had a stroke and can't make decisions anymore? Yes, it's called the Regency Act. And if she had a stroke or was incapacitated, if she wasn't sound of mind, if she was absent, then the Regency Council could invoke a regency, and the regent would be Prince Charles, the heir to the throne, and we would enter into a regency period with Prince Charles as the Prince Regent. So yes, there has always been a contingent plan in place of that. So that would just be enacted. But the Regency Act doesn't cover old age. So just because the Queen's getting old, the Regency Council cannot just invoke a regency without there being, without the Queen meeting the criteria of incapacitated, not sound of mind, or absent. So, so yes. So just because she's old does not mean that there is going to be a regency. Candice says the Eurasian beavers give birth in approximately 107 days, and the North American beavers approximately 128. I'd say those pregnant beavers we've been talking about are way overdue. I think they are too. And the one I was talking about was probably from the 60s, I think. So that's definitely overdue. I'd like to know about pregnant Arctic sheep. Deborah Fraser says, thank you, Elliot, for doing a fantastic job in keeping us up to date on the royals. You are very welcome. I really enjoy doing it. David Penner says, does the Queen still meet with the Prime Minister? Yes, weekly. I do believe it's on a Tuesday, unless someone can correct me. I believe it's a Tuesday and it's weekly. Lee Hayden says, bye. Goodbye. Corrie Tapp says, I love the acorn earrings that Catherine wore at her wedding. I believe they were a present from her parents. Yes, they were. I haven't seen her in them since. Have you? Yes, I think I have. I can't remember the exact occasion, but I do believe I remember seeing them on a few occasions, actually. Oh dear says, haven't seen the baby beavers yet, but lots of fawns in the field near us. And Jamie says, yes, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. There you go. I knew it was a Tuesday. Oh dear says, love Meghan's choice of pantsuit outfits. No accidental sightings when exiting from a car. Yes. While wearing a skirt or dress. Yes, of course, you have to adopt the Duchess slant and the very clever way that they exit vehicles if you're wearing a skirt. But you have no such bother with a trouser suit. Although I would imagine it still looks better if you do a little Duchess slant out of the car. But yes, it most certainly preserves modesty. Bay says, I love the update videos. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you like them. If you like them, I will keep making them. Jamie says, it turns out it wasn't pregnant, it was just some gas. What a windy day. Oh dear says, love seeing, and I've just missed some questions again. It's just skipped. Hang on. Going up. Okay. Oh dear says, love seeing Charles meeting the Ram this week on your video and acknowledging the hard work of the military. Yes, that was the engagement I spoke about earlier. And the Ram was called Private Derby. And I think he was something like the 32nd, Private Derby the 32nd or something like that. So they've always had a long-standing military mascot of a ram. And this one's called Private Derby. He was very sweet, a little bit like my Arctic sheep, I suppose, kind of. And he looked very cute. And Prince Charles seemed very taken with him. So do go and check out that video. Because it shows you all the details, and definitely a picture says more than 1,000 words in this instance. Angel says, well, talk about Kate Middleton and her pregnant belly. She's just getting bigger each day, like a pregnant beaver. But she's growing like you wouldn't believe. She looks like more than beautiful, the whole wide world. I think, taking from your question, a conversation piece, I think she's dressing and looking really, really well during this pregnancy. In fact, you know, she wasn't really showing that much, but she has certainly, I think she has popped a little recently within the last couple of weeks, and she's definitely dressing well, and she looks very happy as well and relaxed. Of course, it's her 3rd time. She knows what to expect. And of course, we're still waiting to hear on or see whether there's going to be a home birth. Vinny Blair says, I agree. Meghan Markle will wear trousers outdoors and long dresses for the reception. Yes, I think I definitely agree and concur. Oh dear says, His Majesty the King or Jamie. Maybe that is it. The First Mrs. R says, it would be kind of amusing if Meghan wore trousers and Harry wore a kilt. It would. A real role reversal, although traditional. I think that she'll wear a heavy solid colour, neutral coloured coat and a tartan scarf. I'm definitely feeling the tartan scarf. I think that's something we can definitely say we can predict will happen. Oh dear would like to see that too. Ingrid said that would be awesome. Ingrid says, I bet your kids love you at my day job. I like to think so. I hope so. Stephen says, why would Meghan not be Princess Henry of Wales like Princess Michael, who uses her husband's title? Would creating Harry a duke keep her from being a princess too? Well, technically, she is entitled to be called Princess Henry of Wales. But if Harry is given a dukedom, the dukedom title kind of trumps the Princess Henry bit. So she would be known as the Duchess of whatever, and we think it might be Sussex. But if Harry doesn't get a dukedom, then she would be known as Her Royal Highness Princess Henry of Wales, in the same way as Princess Michael of Kent, because her husband, Prince Michael, doesn't have a dukedom. And would creating Harry a duke keep her from being a princess? No, although she would never have been a princess in her own right anyway. Just because she's Princess Henry of Wales doesn't mean she's Princess Meghan or Rachel. Just the same way that Princess Diana wasn't Princess Diana. She was the Princess of Wales. She was never Princess Diana. That was always a false title that the people and the press were calling her. She was always the Princess of Wales until after divorce, she was Diana, Princess of Wales. But she was never a princess in her own right. She was never elevated to that status and made a princess of the United Kingdom in her own right. Angel says, are you sick? Did you catch a nasty flu bug that's going around? I hope not. Oh no, I'm not really sick. I think I'm tired. Yeah, I think I'm just tired because I've had a very busy day and a very, 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 very busy week. Francesca B says, can't wait to see Meghan. So proud of her. I always loved her in Suits, now as a royal. Meghan and Madeleine and Letizia are my favourites. There are so many royal fashionable women out there to enjoy these days in the photographs and the articles. But of course, I always concentrate this channel on the British royal family, because if I incorporated the European royals in it too much, I mean, sometimes if there's a big story, I will cover it. But I generally don't, because there's so much going on in the British royal family that if I started doing other things, it would very much dilute it. And I don't really want to. My favourites are the British royal family, and there's so much to keep me busy, especially with having a day job too, that if I started to even attempted to cover, the European royals in great detail, I would just be swamped down so much. So although interested, I tend not to cover them on this channel unless there's a complete lack of British royal family news, but that rarely happens. It only really happens when they're on their summer break, which is actually in a way quite nice, because that's the time when I can look at the European royals, or I think I covered some Japanese royalty, I think, in the summer holidays, and it's a nice chance to be able to explore the other monarchies and royal stories out there. So mainly that's why this channel is just the British royal family. Lillian Rose says, just watching the video on the art collection of Charles I. I'd love to have the courage to go and see the collection dressed as a 17th century lady. Oh, do it! That sounds really good. I'd like to go dressed as a 17th century man. That would be amazing. If you do take photos and tweet me them. Stephen says, I have heard that she will not be a princess. No, not in her own right, at least. Bay says, I'm so happy for Princess Eugenie upcoming marriage. Yes, I think we're all very excited about her autumn wedding. Jamie says, I'm kind of bored of all the media around Harry and Meghan. They're very ordinary people compared to the Queen. If the monarchy keeps becoming more like commoners, it won't last. Well, very strong comments from Jamie. I really like Meghan. I've said that a million times. I do think she's very, very good for Harry and the royal family. She has introduced some, I think, well-needed diversity. Of course, it wasn't planned that Harry was going to try and bring diversity into the royal family. It just so happened it happened. And I think it was, a lucky accident for the UK, because I think the UK will definitely benefit from Meghan and her background and her racial heritage too. And I think, it is important to mention the racial heritage, because I've recently seen some footage, and I may turn this into a video, and the footage is proper legitimate footage of women of colour being asked about Meghan, but women of colour from Britain, and what they think about Meghan, and do they think that she's good for the royal family and it's going to be good for black people and the black community. And it was a very, very interesting video that I watched, because there was a whole wide-ranging viewpoint spectrum, shall I say. Some people thought it was really, really good. Some people weren't that bothered. Some people thought it was amazing and was really going to help things in this country and help and improve diversity. So if you want to see that clip that I saw and you want me to turn it into a video, do let me know, because I thought it was just really, really interesting to see the different viewpoints. And going back to Jamie's question, if the monarchy keeps becoming more like commoners, it won't last. I think it's had kind of a history of mixing. Sometimes the monarchy has married into other, royal families, princes, princesses, and sometimes they have married, people maybe of noble birth, but not royal. And I know you're talking about commoners in that sense, but I don't think in this day and age it will matter. I think people actually kind of get behind them. And I think what matters more is the royal family's conduct rather than who they're marrying. So if they kind of cheapen themselves, then they kind of run the risk, maybe, of changing people's feelings about the monarchy. Whereas if they conduct themselves in a royal way, even if they weren't born royal or born noble, then I think that has more sway than the fact that they were just born a commoner. But do let me know all of your thoughts on that. Candice says, I have noticed that Catherine's baby bump is a little bigger now at 7 months than what she was at the same point in her pregnancy with George or Charlotte. Yes, I think it's kind of, as I said before, it's just kind of popped a bit. Jamie says, glad William is king and not Harry. Controversial. Let me know your feelings. Kawai says, hi, I'm Kawai. Hello to you. And I hope I've said your name correctly. Vinnie Blair says, Royal Duke and Duchess are higher titles than Prince and Princess. Royal Duke will be a promotion for Prince Harry. It will indeed. And as I said, we think it's going to be Sussex. Oh dear says, I have been getting a good clear look of your butterfly as you move about, and it's definitely a vintage mink. Love it. Well, is that a good thing? I mean, I know fur is quite controversial these days, and you know, I certainly wouldn't endorse going to buy, you know, a new piece of anything that's made of fur. But this is vintage. It was made at a time before, you know, people had these types of modern ethics. And it was owned by my grandmother. So to me, I still like to wear it because it means something personally to me. And of course, it was made at a time before ethics. And I would, in a way, I kind of, with these vintage pieces, I kind of hate to think that the animal that made it, that the fur was taken from, died for nothing. And at least, in a way, it kind of lives on in something beautiful and something that means something to someone. But I certainly wouldn't endorse, you know, fur as buying it new today, because I think that just encourages the fur trade market. But I still don't know if it is real mink. I really have no idea. It could be synthetic. I really have no idea. But you know, maybe I should take it to get it seen. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I kind of think about kind of vintage fur versus modern day, you know, killing elephants for tusks and all that kind of thing, which I certainly do not approve of. Ingrid says, I frankly think royalty should only marry royalty. Well, there you go. That kind of narrows the pond quite a bit, though. Stephen says, why would Meghan not be Princess Henry of Wales like Princess Michael, who uses her husband's title? Would creating Harry a Duke keep her from being a princess too? Well, I think I kind of answered that question before. Technically, she will be Princess Henry, but the Duchess title, if Harry's given a dukedom, trumps it, basically. And it's a higher status title to be a Duchess than a Princess Henry. You know, Princess, your husband's name. So if he gets a dukedom, which is expected, that will definitely be a promotion for Harry, and Duchess is higher than Princess Henry. So, you know, Meghan wins too if Harry gets a dukedom. Okay. I'm just going down a few comments. Oops, I think I've skipped some. Going up, going up, going up. Okay, I've missed a few. Jamie says, a British king must be British values personified. That's all you need. Yes, that's kind of what I said. I think it's how you conduct yourself. Stephen says, I know it's a promotion, but I have heard on Facebook she won't be a princess. She will. She will be Princess Henry of Wales, but she won't be Princess Meghan in her own right. Bacon Box says, sub. Vinnie Blair says, royalty, only marrying royalty would narrow the genes, but that's what I said. And they would end up marrying cousins. There was a reason they had to marry outside. And also just, you know, modern views on love, that the pond shouldn't be restricted, that you can open up to anyone and it doesn't matter. Oh dear says curly horn mountain sheep here in Jasper, Alberta are learning young now. The first Mrs. R says, if an heir apparent married an heir apparent in today's constitutional monarchies, what would happen to the crowns of the respective countries? Would one of them have to give up their position? No. They would be the monarch of their country that they were heir to, but they would probably have to choose one place to live. So they may have a principal country of residence, or they may choose to split their time. But maybe 6 months, or a month here, a month there, and that would be really, really interesting to see how that would work. But no, they wouldn't have to give up. But it's more than likely that logistically it would prove a problem flitting between the two. So they may have to have one principal country. That's what happened in the past. So, for example, if, I don't know, a queen married a king, they would kind of move from I'm talking about from different countries too, not just the British. So it's likely that would happen. But of course, with modern transport and plane wise, you can be in a different country in a matter of hours, depending on how far apart they are. They could split their lives. Who knows? That would be really interesting to see if it happened. Oh dear says, yes, the update videos are good, especially if I don't catch all my videos over the week. Yes, so I'm glad you're liking them. So I get the general consensus that I should carry on. And Angel says, okay, leave those beavers alone. Don't kill on your... that's not right. I live in Oregon. You don't kill beavers. No, I would never kill a beaver. Hooked on Jesus says, people give them those titles. Oh dear says, any update on Eugenie's wedding plans? We only know the wedding date, but we don't know any, intimate details about who's coming. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to talk about... And I didn't make a video about it because the simple truth is we don't know. And that is the issue of, has Sarah, the Duchess of York, or Sarah, Duchess of York, been invited to Harry and Meghan's wedding? Is Harry trying to heal a feud? I've heard all these different stories coming out in the past week, and none of them we have any source information about what's true. We know that the guest list is being finalised. Some invitations have already gone out, but probably not all of them at the moment. There is no reason why Harry and Meghan shouldn't or can't invite Sarah to the wedding. If they want her there, they can have her there. There is no problem. Eugenie and Beatrice will be there. Andrew will be there. So why should Sarah not be there? She didn't go to get an invite to William and Catherine's, but with Harry, he kind of has a little bit more of a free leash. I don't think there will be a problem. I don't think he's specifically trying to heal a rift, but I do think we may see Sarah there in some capacity. If not for the actual wedding ceremony, perhaps for the evening reception, or maybe even the sit-down dinner, who knows? But I do believe she'll be there in some capacity. But the truth is, I can't put a story out there saying one way or the other what's going to happen, because we actually don't know. And all these stories coming out can't say that they know either, because there is no source material. Jamie says, thinking of Prince Henrik, yes. And I'm sure it was roughly this time last year when we were all, saying how he was saying horrible things about Queen Margrethe. And it turns out, of course, that he actually had dementia. So all the things that he was saying was possibly caused, most likely caused by the dementia. He was obviously in the throes of dementia. He gave an interview, said some rather, terse comments about where he wanted to be buried, and terse comments about the Queen, not our Queen, Queen Margrethe, his wife. And people kind of got up all in arms about the comments, but it turns out he had dementia. And I think that's probably, looking back, what caused those comments. And he is gravely ill. family members have been recalled from all over the world, including the Winter Olympics. So it doesn't look good for him. And of course, if the inevitable happens and he passes away, he stipulated he didn't want to be buried in this sort of double sarcophagus that has been made for him and Marguerite. And that, I think, that wish could be possibly contested, and he could actually end up in the sarcophagus anyway, because if he made that decision when he wasn't of sound mind, then the family could perhaps have that wish overturned. And perhaps it would be nice for him to be buried in the sarcophagus with the Queen eventually when she passes. Let me know your thoughts on that. Should his wishes be upheld, even though he may have made those decisions when he had dementia, or should they try and overturn it? I would be really interested to know your thoughts. Hooked on Jesus says, why would the royal family decide to share their flight schedule, helicopter schedules to be exact? I think that is more dangerous than keeping it secret. They did it to try, I know it sounds really weird, but they did it to try and make things safer. But of course, it resulted in giving away the information about what their flight patterns were and their schedules. I suppose you could look at it in two ways, that it makes it safer or that it doesn't. They must have made a decision based on information they had. They don't announce things like this lightly. They take their security extremely seriously, and that decision will have been made from up high to have released it for the greater good. And in fact, we don't even know whether the information that was released is even true or accurate. It may be something to throw people off the scent. We don't actually know. But we do know, I think we can safely assume, that it was done for good reason. And even though we don't know what that good reason is, I think we can probably rest safely in the knowledge that it was done in the best interests. And I think that's all we can say on it, because, again, it's one of those stories where we don't actually know all the details. We're not party to it. We're not privy. So, unless more details leak, we can't really say much. The first Mrs. R says, and also there are a couple of channels that are exclusively cover the royals. There are channels out there that cover, different Scandinavian royal countries and all kinds of different things. But this channel, for the foreseeable future, unless I suddenly gain loads more time in my life, will remain focused primarily on the British royal family. Bear says, well, Jamie, times are changing and Her Majesty is doing less work and the younger ones are doing more. They certainly are. So the coverage of Her Majesty will get less and the older she gets. Yes, but of course she'll still be there for the state ceremonials. And I think I've just answered James Med4's question about Prince Harry's wedding and Sarah Ferguson. Ingrid says, yes, please show that video. That was the one I was talking about, the racial heritage and what it means to people of black heritage in Britain today. Angel says, talk about what tiara that Kate was wearing. Then she got married in everything she's supposed to hand. No. Okay, from your question, I think what you're trying to say is, does Catherine have to give the jewels that she wore to her wedding over to Meghan Markle? No, she doesn't. Of course, Catherine borrowed the Cartier halo tiara from the Queen. It was on loan for her wedding. Now, Meghan could technically wear the same one, but it's very unlikely she will. I made a video where I spoke about the tiaras that I think are the more likely options, and the ones that I think are the more likely options are the Strathmore Rose tiara and the Crescent Tech tiara, which are two tiaras that haven't been worn for a very long time. They are in the Queen's collection to be loaned out. I believe both of them are actually on long-term loan to Camilla, although we haven't seen her wear them, so there's no problem in them being relent to Meghan for her special day. I think they're the most likely ones. I don't think we'll see Meghan in any of the big tiaras that the Queen normally wears, that we see her in regularly. So to me, the ones that are left are probably the Strathmore or the Tech. People have spoken about possibly the Spencer tiara, but I think that's unlikely because it's usually only worn by Spencer brides. And even though Harry's mother was a Spencer, it doesn't make Meghan a Spencer bride. So I very much doubt we'll see the Spencer tiara, but I am kind of looking forward to perhaps either the Tech or the Strathmore, or we could just get a complete surprise. Maybe Meghan won't even wear a tiara. But those are the options that I think we are likely to see. Ingrid says, I totally agree with what you just said. It has to do with conduct rather than birth. It's all the character of a person. I agree with myself. Ruth says, yes, please post a video about British women of colour responses to Meghan. If you would like to see it, I will re-find it and post it. Oh dear says, I don't think vintage fur is controversial. It would be from the Edwardian era. And of course, the Queen still has vintage fur pieces. She has some amazing white fur pieces and, you know, fur muffs and shawls in fur, and she does still wear them, and of course they are vintage too. Angel says different crown for Meghan Markle because that one was Catherine's. I think, yes, I agree. I think it will be a different one. I don't think she'll choose the same. Jamie says, I just think Harry and Meghan don't have the dignity to be king and queen. I don't think many British people would be happy with someone who isn't British as their queen. I don't know. I think they'd be happy, actually. I think they'd be fine. I think it helps that Meghan is well educated and comes across really, really well. I think if she was, you know, a different type of celebrity, if she was perhaps, you know, a Paris Hilton type character or a Kardashian type character, then I would agree with you and I would say the British people may not see her as suitable. And again, it's back to the whole conduct thing. I think it's all about conduct. Whereas Meghan has actually, on the whole, well, actually pretty much all the time, behaved really, really well and dignified. Yes, she's done certain television things and movie things to get ahead in that field, but she's done that in the name of her profession. And I think people in the UK can separate out profession from someone who does things in real life, like a Kardashian or a Paris Hilton or that type of celebrity. And I hope you get what I mean when I say that. Candice says, I think Harry would make a great king. He's very charismatic, friendly and compassionate. I would agree with you there. I think he's very personable, which I think is what you mean. And I completely agree. And I've lost my comments again, so I'm just scrolling up. Let's go up. Okay, I've jumped all the way down. Okay, I think I'm just about to find it. Okay. Vinny Blair says, Royal Duke and Duchesses are higher titles. I think I've done that. Oh no, I've gone too far up now. I'm rereading comments. Okay, I'm nearly there. Bear with me. Okay, Angel says, okay, I've done that one. I've totally lost where I am. My page literally keeps skipping, but I think I'm nearly there now. Okay, I'm there. The first Mrs. R says, sorry, problems with Wi-Fi. Jamie says, Catherine and William are much more dignified. I think they're just different personalities. Harry and Meghan are more sort of fun and frivolous, and Catherine and William are more conservative, I think, in their approach. The English train spotter says, are you tired? Yes, I am. I've had an incredibly busy day and a very busy week. Joe Bob says, hey all, sorry I'm late. Joe from Shanghai. Hello to all my viewers in Shanghai. Jamie says, Candice, that wouldn't make a good monarch. Elizabeth doesn't have any of the qualities publicly. Barista Ben McLean says, what does dukedom mean? It means someone who holds the title of duke, the style and title of duke. So, for example, the Duke of Edinburgh has a dukedom. The Duke of Windsor, when he had a title, was a dukedom. The Duke of Cambridge has a dukedom. So it's just the word for someone who is styled duke. Ingrid says there's a great video on YouTube about funny moments for the Queen when something fell out of her purse. An irritating band to listen to. That might be our very own Jamie's video, who has made a video this week that's got over 30,000 views already. So big thumbs up to Jamie from me. And I think it's probably his video that you watched. And it's very, very good. And yes, he said, Ingrid, I think that's the video I made. Yes, it is indeed. Jamie says, I really wanted to make it because I couldn't find any videos of her being funny. There you go. The English train spotter says, are you tired? It's nearly 11 o'clock. Yes, I am. Oh dear says, I don't think Fergie will be invited, but maybe the reception. We will really have to wait and see. Jamie says, I'm trying to imagine it being filmed in St. George's Chapel. Where would the camera crew fit it? Well, if we take a look back to Edward and Sophie's wedding, you will have to look at the camera placements there. And I would imagine they would be in the same spot. And the first Mrs. R says, my guess is they will wait until the last minute in case she does something again. If she comes, she will come as Andrew's +1, not on an invite of her own. We will, again, this is the sort of thing we will have to wait and see. Candice hopes that Sarah will be invited. Ingrid says, please do another video of funny moments with the royals. Well, I think there's a good one out there already. I think you should go and see that one. But yes, I could make one with some funny moments, but I do think that Jamie's probably covered all the ones with the Queen. But there are probably lots of other, if I do maybe a general one, maybe. Oh dear says, I hope Sarah is invited, but if Prince Philip goes to the service, I don't think she will. I don't think he has necessarily a problem, because let's not forget that Sarah did go up to Balmoral in the holidays. She didn't stay in the main house, but she was on the same estate as Prince Philip, and he didn't seem to have a problem then. Jojo says, Elliot, you look as dapper as always. Thank you so much. Dawn says, is this still live? I'm so lost. Yes, it is. And I think I'm feeling a bit lost too. Jamie says, I've just imagined the thought of Prince Philip with Fergie. God knows what he'd say. I think he's probably met her, in recent times already. The first Mizar says, no, he and the Queen should rest together. I don't think he was well when he said he didn't want to be buried with her. Well, I kind of agree with you on that one. Oh dear says, Jamie, something horrible no doubt. However, she will be at her daughter's wedding regardless, if he likes it or not. That is indeed true. She will definitely be at Eugenie's wedding. Blair says, I don't know why the press make up stories about details of the wedding. Why not wait on things to unfold? Well, that's kind of what I try and do here. Same with Eugenie's. That's a private wedding, but the press will invade their privacy. It's a sad fact, but they will. Lillian Rose says, I feel sure filming of the wedding will be subtly done as for Edward and Sophie's. That's what I said. And there didn't seem to be camera crews at all. I would imagine they'd be fixed in fixed points. I can't remember the exact points. I'd have to rewatch clips of the wedding ceremony to see, but I would imagine they would be very, very similar. Unless, of course, technology has moved on, which obviously it has since then. And I definitely think, we could see some different angles. And I think in your question, you said 2011 wedding. Wasn't it 2001? I do believe. Or no, it was 99. It was 99, their wedding. And of course, Camilla and Charles is in 2011. That's what you mean by that. Hooked on Jesus says, how come the royals don't own the press? Wouldn't that be a wise investment? I don't think they'd be allowed to own the press. I think that would be seen as a conflict of interest. Vinny Blair says, do you think Meghan Markle will wear a tiara for the Commonwealth banquet? No, I don't. No, I hope she would, but I definitely don't think she will wear a tiara before her big day. And it's doubtful whether she would have worn one after for that sort of event. I mean, tiara wearing is becoming more and more rare. And I think that's more to do perhaps with Catherine not wearing them as much as perhaps Diana did. The Queen and Camilla still wear tiaras regularly, but Catherine has kind of held back on the whole tiara thing. But perhaps it will be Meghan's thing to wear them. I don't know. Again, we will really have to wait and see. Angel says, Catherine was born on January the 6th, 1981, and Angel was born 1981 on January the 21st. First Mrs. R says, it would be interesting if Meghan was gifted a tiara by Harry or the Queen, like Sarah, Duchess of York's was. Yes. Again, that is another option. We may not even see an existing tiara. We could see one that's been bought or gifted by Harry or the Queen. And don't forget that Diana still left a vast collection of jewels which hasn't been worn or seen. Perhaps Harry may get dibs on some jewels to turn into a tiara. You know, there was so many diamonds that could be reused and remounted and turned into a tiara. It is most definitely a possibility, and that would be very interesting. You are correct. Ingrid says, Edward and Sophie sure are a lovely family. I think the Queen is fond of Sophie, probably her favourite. I wouldn't go as far as saying favourite, but she certainly is very fond. Jamie says, I think bringing a new member into the family must concern the Queen. She must think about it a lot. One person could join the family and do a lot of damage. I think it's always been the same way. Whenever anyone marries into the family, they've always tried to make sure that that person is suitable. But of course, you know, you never, ever know if it's going to be completely compatible or not. Okay, and I've lost my questions again, so I am going back up. And going down again. Here we go. Candice says, I have often thought the reason Andrew and Sarah haven't remarried is because of how Prince Philip feels. Well, like, again, you know, you may have heard things that he doesn't care for her, but again, we aren't going to know. That is private information and probably just speculation and maybe fake news. I believe the reason why they haven't got remarried is that Sarah has a lot more freedom outside of the marriage to be able to make her own money, writing books, for example, doing deals. I know we've seen lots of her deals. But I actually think for her, it would be less hassle if she remarried back into the family because she could take on a program of royal engagements and be looked after. She wouldn't have to worry about money if she rejoined the family. So perhaps she sees it as her freedom, but I would see her as being kind of a little bit more free if she married back in because she'd have financial freedom, not to worry. Jamie says, the Queen wore a coat with fur on the sleeves on the train the other day, coming home from Sandringham. She did indeed, and she looked very stunning in those photographs too. Ingrid says, maybe you could interview people on the street and see what their feelings are about Meghan Markle. Oh my goodness, a roving royal reviewer, roving reporter. Wow, what an idea. I don't know if I'd have the confidence. Certainly Zar says, the Queen Mother was the first British Queen in many, many years, and she was Scottish. Yes, she was. Jamie says, I think if they both stay unmarried, Sarah and Andrew might get together again, maybe later in life. Perhaps they've never been apart. Angel says the Obamas are coming to Harry's wedding. Well, I'm not sure if they've received an official invitation yet. Well, and I hadn't heard that had been announced. Oh dear says, Harry is a no-brain trust, but I think the right personality to do the royal public appearances and charity work. He has an engaging personality. Yes, and I think he's chosen Meghan really, really well too, because I think she will do great at the royal engagements too. Dawn says, think Sarah and Andrew will get back together after Prince Philip passes. They never really split, I don't think. No, I don't think they did either. I think they've always been together. Oh, Jamie's video now has 45,000 views. Wow. Loretta Heard says, hello, Elliot. I fell asleep waiting for me to come on, and you'll have to watch live on Catch Up. But is Sarah, the Duchess of York, invited to the wedding? Well, I have spoke about that previously. And basically, we just said that no one actually knows. Some invitations have gone out, but we don't know who to. We know, some people have come forward and said that they have been invited, but most people keep those things private. Of course, the guest list hasn't been announced. It's not made public. So we will have to wait and see about Sarah. Jamie says, didn't think Edward's wedding was televised. I remember it being on the now, of course, we're going back a good few years. I'm sure I remember it. I haven't seen the footage for an incredibly long time, if indeed it does exist. And I'm sure it was televised because, well, I certainly remember the car coming down the big long drive, and I remember them distinctly going up the steps and coming out. But the bit in the middle, I'm not sure about, actually. Okay, can someone Google it while we're here? But if it was, I haven't seen it for an incredibly long time since it was actually on telly. But I have a feeling it was televised, but we will have to Google it. Can someone Google? Be my fact check. Betsy says, oh dear, I disagree. Harry is very smart. But being that he isn't to be king, he's much more relaxed and can show his personality. I would agree with you there. Dawn says, I think if Charles and Camilla can be married, then Sarah and Andrew are still in love. Yeah, I see no reason personally why they shouldn't. In fact, if they want to, then I think they should. Natasha X says, I'm really liking the title Duke of Kendall for Harry. Again, dukedoms can be created. Norfolk, not Norfolk, Sherwood, for example, has been suggested as a name that could be used if one was going to be created. But we will have to wait and see. Rosary Chaplet has joined us. I can see in the chat. Yes, and I do, Ingrid. I do believe that Meghan Markle has a degree, in fact. So yes, she most certainly did graduate from college. Okay, I'm just skipping a few questions because I'm quite far up. Jamie says, many mixed views on Harry being king. Very interesting. Dawn says, heck, I want to wear a tiara. And no, I didn't check out about the press pack. Like I say, I've had an incredibly busy week. My weeks are very busy. I do a lot. I try and cram a lot into my weeks. MSMB 2012 says, Catherine was as common as she could be, and she wore a tiara. Then maybe Meghan will too. Jamie says, Obama won't be invited. The US media would pick that up and it would be blown up. I have a feeling that Michelle will just attend as she's close to Harry. I don't know. I think Harry will take the stand and viewpoint that it's his wedding and he will have as his personal guest whoever he wants. So I don't know. I think we might see both Obamas, Michelle and Barack, there. OG says, can you put a link to Jamie's video down under so we can watch it? Would love to see. Links don't work on here. So you'll have to click on his name and find his channel. I think you can do it that way. Bob says, MSNB 2012, Diana was more aristocratic than the royal family. They're distant relatives of 21st President of the United States, George Washington. Jamie says, Elton John is invited because he cancelled concerts. Vinny Blair says, the guest list will not be announced. It is always exciting to watch as guests arrive. I would agree there. Jamie says, well, I wouldn't be alive long enough to know if Edwards was televised. I'm sure I remember watching it. I really do. I'm sure I definitely remember sat down watching it. Fact check. I need fact check. OG says, I can't remember Edward's wedding ceremony being televised, just the ins and outs. Well, maybe it wasn't then. Maybe I'm just remembering the ins and outs. Dawn says, I'm going to buy a tiara to wear to watch the wedding. Oh, yes, let's all wear tiaras when we watch the wedding. Wouldn't that be good? I can put mine on. That would be really, really good. Jamie says there was definitely a camera outside. Okay, well, maybe they didn't have one on the inside. But I certainly remember the outs and ins. The first Mrs. R says, I'm pretty sure it was on TV because I got married the same. Okay, I'm going to check myself now because it's really bugging me because I have recollections of it, but maybe I've made them up in my head. Do you often do that sometimes? Do you often think that you've seen something or heard something and kind of convince yourself that you have, but really you haven't? It didn't actually happen. And in fact, on my other channel, I am going to do a story time of an out-of-body experience that I mean, no word of a lie, this is true. I had an out-of-body experience. So if you check out my other channel, I will, in a few days, maybe even tomorrow, make a video about my out-of-body experience. And I've only had one once, and I've never had one again. Okay. Prince Edward and Sophie wedding. I'm just Googling it to make sure. Okay. Oh, hang on. There's a section on Wikipedia about broadcast. It says the wedding's broadcast garnered an estimated 200 million viewers from around the world. Now, that wouldn't get that sort of attraction for just the ins and outs. But it doesn't say. Hang on, let's have a look. There might be more on it. Okay, Sophie arrived with her father, Christopher Rhys-Jones, in a Rolls-Royce. I remember that. Once owned by the Queen, and walked her down the aisle. The Bishop of Norwich performed the ceremony. They didn't say the word obey. I'm trying to see if it says about... Okay, it doesn't say if... I'm sure I remember it though. Okay, I'm going to have to do images now to see if there's images from inside. I am going to get this. Okay, all I'm seeing is photographs from outside. Maybe it wasn't televised inside. Although one of the reporters that I follow did say that they'd heard it was going to be televised inside for Harry and Meghan. Okay, I will... Oh no, hang on. Right, I have found a photograph which looks like it's taken from video footage from inside the chapel. Can you see? Okay, proof. I think that is proof that I did actually see it. Can you see? That photograph was taken inside, and it doesn't look like a photograph. It looks like video footage. I think I was right. I do remember the service being televised. There you go. I think I'm right. Someone said, I just saw it pop up, what's the clicking noise? The clicking noise is my outside extractor fan. Because it's really windy outside, it's blowing, and the little slats are flapping. So I'm having trouble with my flaps. Odia says, what tiara am I wearing to cover the weddings? I think it'll have to be the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Natasha X says, Prince Edward's wedding was televised. You can find the links online. There you go. I definitely remember seeing it. It was a long, long time ago, but I definitely remembered seeing it. Stephen says, Edward's wedding was televised. There you go. James Med4 says, Edward, the wedding was televised. It was 5 p.m. in Britain, so American audiences wouldn't have to wake up in the middle of the night. You brought a VHS copy. There you go. I knew I was right. I knew I hadn't gone mad. I knew I remembered seeing it. There you go. Lots of people now saying, yes, it was. And the wedding is on YouTube, so you can find it. There you go. And the Monarchy fan channel has Edward and Sophie's wedding video. Jamie says, did you hear that Queen Victoria's tomb is going to be open to the public? Yes, and I have all the things ready for a video, which I will make on that tomorrow. So I'm not going to say too much about it, but yes, it is being open to the public for the first time in many, many years. And there's some more information too, which I'm going to make into a video. MSMB 2012 says, could I make a video about the royal tiaras and possible pictures for Meghan? I did. If you, well, not specifically for Meghan, but if you go to my Princess Eugenie wedding tiara video, which was a few weeks ago, once the announcement was made, go back and find it. There's the thumbnail is photographs of royal rings, engagement rings, and tiaras. If you look on that, I do go through some of the options for Meghan, and I do show them. So find that video, and that information is still there. Liam Rose videotaped the wedding. People saying Fox carried the wedding when it was on. Okay, so I think we've conceded that the wedding was indeed televised. It was Zara's and Mike's that definitely wasn't televised. That was a totally private one. Oh dear says, thanks for looking up Edward's wedding. I will try and find it and watch it to see if it jogs any memories. MSNB 2012 says, the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara is my favourite as well. Candice says, when you are convinced that you have seen or did something, but actually didn't, it's called the Mandela effect. Well, there you go. But it turns out I wasn't Mandela affected because I did actually see it. Oh dear is off, so goodbye to you. MSNB 2012 says, gosh, how did I miss a tiara video? How unlike me. I think it's because the title of the video may have been about the engagement ring, but I did include tiaras in the second half of the video. So maybe that's why you missed it. So Bob says, hey, I'm going to try to find that video too. It's the one that's got about 84,000 views. So it's quite a big video. Jamie says, I wonder what the 20th century was like. Old. Making me feel old. Okay, have I missed any key things that I wanted to say? I don't think I have. Oh, Princess Anne at the Winter Olympics, and of course I'll bring you lots more information on any royals that go over there to see that. Prince Harry was today attending 2 rugby matches, so he was very busy, and it was the Six Nations, the women's and the men's. So he had a whale of a day watching lots of rugby. And I mentioned about Prince Charles I exhibition, so that's all done. And I think there's quite a few upcoming dates for the diary. Next week is quite busy. On Tuesday, the 13th of Feb, we have Prince Harry and Meghan Markle visiting Edinburgh Castle and Social Bite, which is a local charity, and Holyrood House. On Thursday, we have Prince Harry attending street games at the Roundwood Youth Centre in Brent. Then on Friday, we have Prince Harry again. He's very busy this week, who is again visiting rugby. for a rugby match for England Rugby, and it's a Twickenham training session. Then on Sunday, we have the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge attending the EE British Academy Film Awards at the Royal Albert Hall. So that's really, really, really good. And then the following week, on the 19th, we have the Duchess of Cambridge and the Countess of Wessex. So it's a joint engagement where they attend the Commonwealth Fashion Exchange. So lots and lots of exciting new things coming up to look forward to. And of course, I will be bringing you all of that information as and when I get it. The First Mrs. R says, I read that the Japanese princess who was giving up her title to get married has called off the marriage. I haven't heard that, so I can't comment, but I will look into it, definitely. Maria Carrion says, hello to you. Oh, okay. And the First Mrs. R says the news about the Japanese, I think her name is Meiko or something of that nature. It's saying that some reputable papers in the US have reported it. I will have to look into that, definitely. Jamie's saying good night all. Have a voluptuous week. Good night to you. Mardy Andy says, will Harry and Meghan ride in a carriage? She's receiving so much hate that I fear for her safety. I think she may opt for a car, but not because of any issues of safety. I think it's probably the modern way to arrive to the church in a car, but I think she will leave by carriage. There we go. The Japanese princess has postponed her marriage until 2020. Is that possibly because new laws may be being thought of introduced to mean that she wouldn't have to give up her title? I think people in Japan are very fond of her and the work she does, and I think people don't want her to have to give up her title just because she's married a non-royal. So perhaps the delay is to allow for the law to be changed. I'm just saying, watch this space on that one. I think that is a distinct possibility. Now, I'm going to end tonight's chat here. We have had lots of voluptuous conversation about the royal family. Please join me next week, live at 10 o'clock GMT time, which is British time. So you can find out what time that is for you. So yeah, check out all my videos. If you've enjoyed them, give them a big thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will let you know whenever I upload a new video or if I do a surprise pop-up video. So it's always really, really handy to have to hit that little bell, because sometimes that's how you might miss videos, because they don't always come up in your recommended list. Again, I really enjoy reading your comments on the videos, and even if I don't personally respond to all of them, which I can't do, it would take too much time, I do, if I've read them, I do give them a little thumbs up tick to say that I've read it. So I do try and read and respond to as many as I possibly can. So thank you for joining this chat, and from me in Shropshire, good night.